I getting these videos done with very little money? Well, that's just it. This is, like like to call video production slash podcasting on a budget. For example, this mic is a loaner from a little loaner. It's a lot. It's worth a lot of money. It's on a loaner, but it's still good for my podcasting. These earphones, I'm gonna look into getting like headphones for my radio, my podcast somewhere along the line. These are loaners. Like I say, it's butt loaners. It's got a list. Everything is stuff laying around. Stuff laying around. This mic stand, which you see here on majority of my videos, they're kind of loners until I get some equipment, some equipment. But it's like I say, it's podcasting on a it's like podcasting and video production on a budget. I when I'm doing videos like this, I am using a Dell laptop, Microsoft. It's like a Microsoft 11 with a front-facing camera here. It's a front-facing camera, so I can record videos easily. And of course, when you look at it, and of course, when you look at this, I have a good backdrop. It's like a little library in between the borders, uh, political literature, biography, political biography, stuff like that. It's like it's what I do to keep myself on the border of what I do. You know, race, politics, sports. Most people don't really do that, but I am trying to relaunch Home Tour Sports as a weekly podcast or something like that. But now I'm thinking about retiring the name. Yes, I am officially, as of right now, I am officially retiring the name Home Tour Sports. The Home Turf Radio Network will still exist, but the Home Turf Sports name will be retired and replaced with a new one. The Bat Page, based on what you see in the newspaper, like the New York, the Newsday, New York Daily News, New York Post. Everywhere you go, you can look at the Bat Page. The Bat Page tells you the true stories about basketball, about sports in general. It's still gonna be from a fan's perspective, but as far as I can tell, it's gonna be a whole lot better and a whole lot efficient. So yes, it's gonna come. It'll come out soon. Don't you worry. There's more plans. There's more plans in the future. But here's where I. But this is what I do. This is what I think about what I do. I try to produce content that's not a stressful. That's not so strenuous with my time and my focus. For example, I'm using this little light mic stand, little light stand here with a phone holder here, with a nice phone holder currently holding my Samsung phone, Android phone, and I have a Bluetooth speaker with me, just in case I wanted to use excerpts of videos or do something silly with my time. So, for example, this is one of my favorite targets.
Democrats, I have a question for you. Do you really want to die on this hill to protect every single illegal criminal alien? And to you Democrat voters out there, have you noticed that these Democrat politicians are going out of their way for them and not for you? Why did you actually vote for these people? I'm curious about that. Why did you vote for Democrats?
Maybe it's because they're sick and tired of the MAGA extremism. These are there are far right. These are far left. I believe there are far left Democrats who are doing this, but there are moderate Democrats, the liberal Democrats that are very more efficient with what they're doing, and I believe that the new DNC chairman Ken Martin is gonna be more lenient, try to be more straightforward with this plan. John Matrix, is a very classic target of mine, as well as Rhodes Rants and Ryan Kino. These are and the other mega channels that are on YouTube. Whenever they have put out videos do not that are too extreme to that MAGA level, it's people start gonna start caring. They're just doing he's doing rage bait. He's doing this just because he wants to. Exactly. Which is why I don't subscribe to those channels. And when I take them out of YouTube history, that I don't want to watch it. I don't want to watch that. It drops their viewership. Rage bait people who act like assholes do not deserve a platform. Any platform. Period. These are far right rage bait lunatics, and they'll try to, you guessed it, make more money out of bigotry. More money. They want money. They want you mad. They want your money. They want you mad. And they want you to fall into that rage bait clique. It's sick. It sickens. It's so completely sickening. And everybody knows that. My channel doesn't do that. I don't endorse rage bait. It is embarrassing and downright disgusting for me to think of that. I have done a tremendous job of trying to give you the legit honesty from what I do when it comes to when it comes to creating content like this, when it comes to creating podcasts like this. Range bait is something I don't take part of. And for me, it's to get say, you're doing this because you're countering rage bait. Yes, let's just say rage bait is provoking reactions by doing something very outrageous, by sharing something outrageous, and saying something controversial that makes people mad, makes money, and then and they'll give it more attention, which in turn boosts it, and more people see that content and respond to that content. It's a very simple and effective way to be seen and get attention from these, especially on social media. The right mega right, where everyone can say anything. It gives them that sense of value and adds to their big fat self-esteem and egos, even if the attention they get is extremely negative. I get my negatives. After all, they still didn't cause a lot of shit. That's the thing. On the flip side, there tend to be people regarding it as fake, fraudulent, comedy, ironic, and as bait from the start. It's their tradition. Laughing at that shit. Laughing at the rage it causes, but they're still promoting that shit. No matter how bad the thing was said or done was. That's embarrassing. There's also tend to be people who see no problem with it at all, who fully and ironically buy into the beliefs expressed. Share the beliefs expressed. These idiots are very sad about it. That makes the world get more this more divisive. And it makes people do and they say more extreme things to stand out. You look at John Matrix, look at Ryan Kendall, look at everybody. Whenever you see or hear something you don't like, whatever or not it was intended as such, the best thing to do is just ignore that bullshit and not to interact with it if possible. Not everything is deserving of your time, not or your money, especially if you are getting anything in return. That's point blank. You got to stay critical. Often, ignoring something is the best way to criticize that. So if you really have to, let me critique it on your own terms. This is my platform, without sending the people in the engagement they so desire. Because once you take the bait, I'll say this: there's nothing but rage, point blank, and bullshit. And you don't have to buy into the bullshit. We have to. People remain. There are people who remain to be civil, and I consider this to be a strong sense point of topic that makes me want to say yes. You are responsible for your rage bait. I don't have to. I don't have to. I don't have to agree with everybody. I don't have to say. Oh, I don't have to say anything negative. But I am to stand by the wrong things that is too far right, and yes, too far left. I criticize a lot of far lefties a lot. And this is and they would, and that makes me feel like yeah, a true patriot. Patriotism does not mean you stick by this insanity. I'm honored to be a part of that little club of hatred, and a club of speaking out against the hatred. And then there's and I for example and then when you start and when people start spewing lies, it starts to get into and the more people are going to buy into it. For example, take a listen to this.
So there's a newspaper in Long Island, New York, that's called Newsday. Long Island, just so you know, is massive. It's got millions of people. And in New York City, there's the New York Times, the New York Post, the New York Daily News, all based in the city, all these things we think of as New York papers. But out on Long Island, where there are millions of people, forever it's been New York Newsday. On Long Island, New York Newsday is a big paper, a big circulation. It is indisputably the paper of record, and it has been there forever. And I actually mean that literally. Local laws all over the country require the publication of public notices in the paper of record. So this is notices about upcoming public hearings, about proposed laws, real estate transactions, stuff like that. We don't really have classified ads the way we used to in newspapers, but there's still a bunch of fine print notices in major papers, and those are often public notices that are required by law in the local paper of record. And those public notices are a considerable source of income for local newspapers. So on Long Island, in Nassau County, Long Island, the government there is headed up by an elected county executive. And in Nassau County, the county executive is a Trump guy. So much so that perhaps feeling a little jealous that Trump has his Oath Keepers and his Proud Boys, pro-Trump paramilitary militias, this county executive on
Yeah, I guess she was targeting Bruce Blakeman, Nassau County executive. This is when he was there right after I bolted from Nassau County. He was there when I was bolted from the county.
Has also formed his own semi-official paramilitary force of
Oof.
military and law enforcement veterans that he says he wants to be able to call up on his own orders to supplement official law enforcement. Yeah, if that puts a little shiver in your quiver, it's because you're paying attention. But that same very, very Trumpy county official in Long Island, New York, has now yanked all public notices from Newsday, from the paper of record in Long Island, and instead has started putting public notices instead in a right-wing New York City tabloid that's not even based in Long Island. Newsday is suing to get the public notices back, but we'll see. So that's one. Here's a second story. This is the second part of the same story. You might have also seen headlines recently about Trump's new FCC chair going after NPR and PBS. Now, I recognize you might have skipped past those headlines because they look familiar. Every time a Republican's in the White House, they always say they're going to go after NPR and PBS. And every time Americans rise up and say, leave Big Bird alone and leave NPR alone, we freaking use it and we like it and go mess with something else. This time, though, did you see how exactly they're going after them? They've decided to go out a different way this time. They've opened an investigation into how NPR and PBS stations state on the air who their underwriters are. NPR and PBS are public broadcasting, so they don't accept ads per se, but they do accept sponsorships. And when you're watching something on PBS or listening to something on NPR, you will hear them tell you who their sponsors are. It's part of how NPR and PBS stations stay financially viable and sustainable and, honestly, locally grounded in their local communities because a lot of their underwriting is from local businesses. Right? I mean, if you've ever listened or watched public media, you know this. They do pledge drives to raise money from people who join as members. They also get local organizations and local businesses to sponsor their programs. So you get this hour of jazz and classical music brought to you by your local Ford dealer or whatever.
This is why we got idiots running around as they are like petty dictators and stuff like that. We got Bruce Blakeman, that motherfucker, who decides to yank the local newspaper and turn the New York Post, owned by Rupert Murdoch, the same guy who owns The Sun, as their local paper. It is disgusting. It's you are not loyal to. If you're not loyal to Long Island, you can move to the big city. You are. I have been. And let's be honest. I'm a Newsday subscriber. I've always has been. I've actually signed up again this year for a little cheaper. But when I start thinking about more plans in the future to use them, I might think about that. I get the Sunday paper. I get the digital editions on 6 days a week. And to be honest, it still keeps me informed. And they have good writers there. They have good writers. It is the press is getting attacked. NPR and NPR. Yes, these motherfuckers. They play their game to make them bend to their will. That doesn't work it doesn't work that way. If you wanted to come at me like that, I wouldn't even think about that. You're gonna have to come up with more money and more and something of a funny. And that's pretty. I wouldn't even accept money from big government. Patreon. That's probably I'm thinking about that in the near future, but in the meantime, I'm still considering my options open. I'm trying to keep my options open. Will I create content for Patreon subscribers? Will I do videos that are private for those for the public, but but free for the subscribers, free for the Patreon subscribers. I think it's a good idea. You get to watch what I do. I would not mind doing shows like this. I wouldn't mind I wouldn't mind targeting people who are not against the free press, who are very against the free press, who are very very pro dictatorship. This is what we see in Hungary. This is what we see in Hungary with Viktor Orban. This is what we're going to see. This is what we're seeing in Russia with Vladimir Putin. It doesn't work that way. This isn't Hungary. You're not trying to be God here. And when people start seeing, and when they're turning this into, you're feeding the far right more of that bullshit. And then and it gets so insane that somebody concerned Republicans that see this bullshit to say, oh, we're out of here. But once you're in, there's no getting out. There's no out. There's no way getting out. I think that is the true essence of what we do here. I'm for a free press, and when you're not, that's a betrayal to the Constitution. It's a betrayal to society at large. And then again, it takes more blood. It's more bloodful. Like I said, it's bloodless. Oh, there's plenty of blood. There's going to be plenty of blood spilled. Don't worry about that. But when it comes right down to it, I'm pissed off at people who are not for democracy. They are not pro-constitutionalists. This is insane. If you're for the Constitution and you're for the freedom of speech, freedom of the press, why are you supporting somebody who's not? That's what I want. That's what I want to know. When we think about this, next 2 years is the midterms. There's still some elections in 2025, but once we get to 2026, that's when we start organizing. That's when we start saying, yeah, we're done with we're mad as hell. We're not going to take it anymore. Peter Finch did that. Peter Finch's hilarious speech in the movie Network really gets to me, We're mad as hell. I'm mad as hell. I'm not going to take it anymore. Man, that's pretty much says a lot with people who are tired of Trumpism and how the Heritage Foundation is trying to play God with an imbecile. Donald Trump's 78. He's going to turn 79 this year, and if anything happens to him between now and 2028, guess what? It's their fault. We get JD Vance to substitute. He's not even that good to get that worse. But at the end of the day, he probably might not. But what else is there? What else is there? When you subscribe to MAGA policies and MAGA politics that are considered rage bait, that's disgusting and very irreverent. So don't buy into that bullshit and focus on being more positive and be more happy, be healthy, and being a good person. Case in point, every time I take this in here, kind people, and I say this here, kind people are my kind of people. That's saying a lot. As always, I end the video with this: be a good human being. Be happy. Be healthy. Don't buy into the rage bait. Don't buy into the bullshit. Create content that's more positive, and you can be more more critical to those who are very, very unsympathetic to everything people do. You got Black and White Network, Black and White Sports, Rosa Matrix, Sports Wars, Geeks and Gamers, Nerdotic, The Quarterback. Everybody's filling it up with rage bait and bullshit. Don't buy into that bull. Don't buy into it. These motherfuckers are making want to take your money to make you even mad. If I were to make you mad, I wouldn't even want your money. I would say I'll give it back to you no matter what. But if I do content that's worth your time and critical for everybody, I would be happy to do. I would be happy to fund this for. I would fund it to help to get better equipment, better equipment, better opportunities. Hey, it's not better than anything. Feel free to subscribe to the channel. It's greatly appreciated. You can also follow me on X, Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, Says Us, which is my secondary writing platform in addition to Medium. Spoutable, and of course, yeah. Everywhere with the at Matthew Holly, MattheWHollie, all in lowercase. It's the same handle I use on most of my social media platforms. Case in point, I've done this for years. Stay happy, stay healthy, be a good human being. I will be back next time. I want to. If you have any suggestions on how I can do it, create a Patreon page for the show, which I have no problem with. Please do so. And as always, I will see you next time.